Alright, big idea number 3 was transformations. So vocabulary. Figure which is the pre-image, figure which is the image. How do you know? So looking at this picture, the reason I know which one is the image and the pre-image. First of all, what is the difference between pre-image and image? Pre-image is your before. So it's before the transformation is done. Your image is the after. Okay? Or you can think of it as old and new. Now the way we keep them straight, or the way we figure out which is which, is that the image will have the prime or double prime symbol, and the pre-image will have nothing. Alright? So looking at this one right here has to be the pre-image, and this one right here has to be the image because it has the prime symbol above each of the letters. Okay? Give a definition for each of the four types of transformations. So a reflection, we said, is a flip. A rotation is a turn. A translation is a slide. And dilation is when you either enlarge or reduce something. Number 10, which of those four transformations do we refer to as rigid motions and why? So out of these four transformations, the only one we refer to as rigid motions are reflections, rotations, and translations. And again, those are rigid motions because the shape remains congruent. The only thing that changes in the shape is the direction that it's facing. Okay? Reflections, translations, and rotations. Now you need to have these rules memorized. So for the first one, reflections. If you reflect across the x-axis, the x stays the same, but you change the y to its opposite. If you reflect across the y-axis, the y stays the same, and the x becomes its opposite. When you reflect across the y equals x line, that one's the only one that's slightly different. And what happens is all you do is slide where the y and the x are. So the y becomes your x, and the x becomes your y. You don't change the symbols for that one. All you simply do is move them to different places. Now for translations, what translations do are tell you how far to move your x, either left or right, and how far to move your y, either up or down. So it's going to depend on how far they want you to move it. So we're just going to write a general rule for that. And for this one, with our x, we're going to add a, and with our y, we're going to add b. Okay? So keep in mind, our a can be positive or our a can be negative. Our b can be positive or our b can be negative. Now, rules for rotations, and again, you're going to have to memorize these. If you rotate something clockwise, then what happens is you move their position, so the y becomes the x and the x becomes the y, but then you need to change the x to its opposite. When you're doing 180, what happens then is you change both of them to their opposites, and then you switch them. I'm sorry, no, you leave them the same. My mistake. For this one, if you're going counterclockwise 90 degrees, then what you're going to do then is you're going to switch them, and your y is going to become its opposite. So notice the difference between clockwise and counterclockwise is clockwise, you switch them, the x becomes its opposite. Here, you switch them, the y becomes its opposite. So you're switching on both of them, it just depends on which one becomes your opposite. Okay, so using those rules, we're going to perform some transformations. Alright, number 11, all they want us to do is translate this figure down. So we're going to translate every single point down 3. So Q is going to go 1, 2, 3 right here, and that's going to be Q prime. L is going to go 1, 2, 3, and that's going to become L prime. U is going to go down 1, 2, 3, and that's going to become U prime. Now, once you do that, what you need to do now is you need to take a straight edge, and you're going to connect the two. Okay, so taking my straight edge, I'm going to connect. I'm actually going to get a different one. Okay. And there we go. Okay. Next one, number 12, they want you to translate it to the left 1 and up 2. So left 1, up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1, up 2. You're going to take your straight edge, you're going to connect them, and you're going to get your image. This one is the X and Y. You take them and you make them their opposites. Alright? So in order for us to make them their opposites, we gotta find the originals. So let's write down what the originals were. So K, P, T, and Q. Alright? K was at -1, -1. P was at 0, 1. T was at 3, -2. And Q is at 0, -4. Alright? Now, let's find where the new ones need to go. And we're going to use this rule. So K prime, P prime, T prime, and Q prime. So -1 is going to become +1. -1 is going to become +1. 0 is going to stay 0. And 1 is going to become -1. 3 is going to become -3. And -2 is going to become 2. 0 is going to stay 0. And -4 is going to become +4. Alright? So when I graph it, X is at 1, 1. That's K prime. P prime is at 0. It's at 0, +1. For T prime, it's at -3, +2. And then Q prime is at 0, 4. Alright? So after you graph all of them, you're going to take your straight edge and you are going to connect them. And there we go. Alright, next one, a reflection across the y equals x line. So when you reflect across the y equals x line, the rule is you simply switch the position of all the x's and y's. So if we're going to find the originals, so H, L, Q, and P. H is at 1, 2, -2, 1, 2, 3, 3. L is at 0, 2. Q is at 1, 2, -2, 1. And P is at 1, 2, 3, -3, 1, 2, -2. Alright, so H prime, L prime, Q prime, and P prime. Alright, so H prime is going to be 3, -2. L is going to be 2, 0. Q prime is going to be 1, -2. And P is going to be -2, -3. Okay, so we graph those. 3, 2. So that's H prime. 2, 0, that's L prime. 1, negative 2, that's Q prime. And negative 2, negative 3, that is P prime. So again, take your straight edge and connect the dots. Alright, and there we go. Alright, next one, number 15, a reflection across the x-axis. So here's our line of reflection, the x-axis. So notice it's a horizontal line of reflection. So every point above is going to go the same distance below. So since A is 3 above, it's going to go, A prime is going to go 3 below. Since 2, 3, 4, 5 above, it's going to go 5 below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. M prime is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. And W is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 above. 1, 2, 3, 4 below. And there you go, a horizontal line of reflection. Next one, they want you to reflect it across the x equals negative 3 line. So x equals negative 3 is our line of reflection. Negative 3 is 1, 2, 3 right here. So that is x equals negative 3. Again, I know it goes like this because it is crossing the x-axis at the negative 3 point. Alright? So S went right to the once, and then S prime is going to go left once. Y is going to go right, so left once. I went to the left, so now it's going to go to the right twice. And then I prime went to the left once, and so it's going to go to the right once. So that's P prime. Alright, so I'm going to connect these. Okay, and that's how that transformation should look.